boot them down because that shit, I'm so annoying sometimes. And I'm like, cool. Yeah, you might, because I know mine usually. I think, yeah, I'm already a little.
No, you are not the first person to
awesome.
have
Yeah,
that happen to.
Got that annoying voice sometimes.
All right. Hello, everybody. You're watching / listening to the McAllister Hours. I'm your host, as always, Cole McAllister. We are joined today by a local, I don't know,
Guy. I'm just a
Just
guy. A guy on the internet.
Joe.
Yeah.
You're a self-described comedian. You do stuff on TikTok. I think you've done some stand-up. You have the unfortunate last name. Give it up for Jake Truemper.
Yes. Hello. My last name has become political recently. I'm lucky that it's spelled True. So like whenever someone looks at it, they're like Jake Truemper, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Trumper. It's Trumper. No political affiliation. It's just my last name. I don't have any political beliefs. It's just the last name I was given. So yeah, it's kind of I'm a radio host. And I can't use my real name because it's too divisive. So I go by JT on the radio because I can't be Jake Truemper because we don't want people thinking like I support a specific candidate. So I'm just JT on the radio.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You have to worry about people getting upset and like not wanting to listen to you because you're listening.
They do, and that's why I can't get political on Twitter ever because like I consider myself more in the middle, probably middle, little left leaning. But if I disagree with someone who's saying like something super far left, I'll be like, well, actually, blah blah blah, and they'll be like, you're clearly just a Trump bot. I can see how you communicate with your other Trump followers. All you do is put an E and a P and an E and R. We know who you really are. And I was like, no. It's my last name, man. I'm not political. Just leave me alone. I feel bad. It's just because I feel like now everyone will just think that. If I ever say something, they'll be like, Trump bot. I'm like, no, I'm a real person. Pay
it's
attention
not my
to me.
fault.
Yeah.
I was born with it.
Yeah, so
it's like being black. It's not my. I can't
yeah,
help it.
I totally no. That's a dangerous road to go down. Starting out, we're 5 minutes in. We're already making such dangerous parallels. It's just my last name. I can't stress that. No, I'm canceled. 5 minutes in, Jake's canceled.
Well, you are on the McAllister Hours now.
Yes. It's just everyone when they come on, they're immediately canceled afterwards. I did hear that rumor. Yeah.
We've had plenty of episodes that have, we haven't gotten any of our content taken down, but we have gotten demonetized on a couple episodes.
There are, because I just first to watch some of your videos, I just did through your Instagram, and they'll be like, validate your age. And I was like, Jesus, what are they talking about? Like, what kind of like, I don't think I've ever been asked to validate my age on any other podcast I listened to, and I thought I listened to some, like, cool ones. So then I'm like, going to listen to yours, I'm like, oh my God, what are they? And it's not like, because I talk about insane stuff, but it's all demonetized. So I was thrown off by that. I was like, Jesus, what did I get into?
Yeah, and it's so weird that like the bots and the algorithm is like panning into like this kind of show,
Yeah,
like picking this. They really have the time to like look at this. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
They're gonna track you down. They'll track down any video that you have, and that's what I've always found interesting. I struggle with because I'd say compared to a lot of your other guests, I'm pretty square. I'm gonna be honest. Like there's some people I listen to, I'm like, damn, they're cool. I look at myself. You guys, cigars, drink, and I'm just like, Yeah, I'm here. What's up? I brought my Star Wars shirt. Everything's good, man. What's up? So, I thought it was funny because I knew what you did, but not to like the extent of like where YouTube's like, I'm gonna track this guy down. I'm gonna demonetize this video. We're taking him down. So I was like, oh wow, I was trying to think of stories that made me sound cool. On the way, I was like, if he gets this perfect area for me, I can sound really cool. So if we get to a certain avenue, I've got a story ready, a few stories on certain avenues but it has to be not forced. Like you can't ask me now. You can't be like, Jake, how are you? Cool. Because then it's forced and everyone's like, he's not cool. But if we, telling you now, full disclosure, if we lead to something that, like, it's like a trap card, right? If you activate my trap card, that wasn't cool. That was not cool. I just did a Yu-Gi-Oh reference on the pod. I'm cool. I can't stress enough. I'm cool, everybody, please. No, I'm dying. Change the subject. Quick. Go.
Damn. You have a lot of positive energy, man. I really
Thank you.
I really like it. No, I'm thinking back to that episode the last one that got 18 plus. I think we made a joke about a baby from Hitler and Tupac.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you just did it again. You're gonna have to like bleep that out, man. You can't say. So I'm trying not to get demonetized anymore, but the last time we were demonetized says exact thing that gets you demonetized. You can't. That's like, I've been demonetized for stuff, and then I'm like, I'm never going to mention it, right? Like, we talked about a president, potentially, an older president, JFK, and we talked about what we thought happened to him. We thought about, like, the actual conspiracy theories behind it, and we got one of those little yellow symbols on it. So,
That's crazy.
But I was like, so I can never say that. And you're just like, Hitler babies got demonetized. I'll say it again. I'll do it again. So
the McAllister Hours is moving to Parlor. Everybody.
Yeah, more power to you. Yeah. That's congratulations on your sponsorship. This is a great episode to make that announcement on. Thank you for making me a part of this. I can't wait to be now connected with that. Thank you.
This podcast is sponsored by Google,
and we
censoring you at every step of the way.
And we'll be right back after a sponsor, Parlor. Thank you. Woo!
All right, so Jake, what's some of you're from Cedar Rapids. What's some of your background here?
So I kind of just
what's
say,
your story?
When someone says like, where are you from? I'm from Iowa. I've lived everywhere between Quad Cities and Des Moines. I've been all over the place. Grew up in Solon, Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Quad Cities. I've been all over in Iowa, but I've never left Iowa. That's the thing. So, honestly, I just have always wanted to create stuff. I was a really weird kid, and I was like, someday that'll be cool. Hopefully someday that's cool. And then I never knew what I wanted to do. 2-time college dropout, and then fell into radio. Got lucky with that. Became a radio host, and then I just started doing internet stuff, and I'm just comfortable with where I'm at now, doing random dumb stuff on the internet. I think there's a lot of people who are like, I think there's two different mindsets of, if you want to become successful on the internet or successful in your profession, you either work on one thing to be a master of one thing and hope that does well. And if you are good enough and have that spark, you're going to get noticed. You're going to get famous for that and you're a master of it. Or there's the mindset of just keep doing so many things where you're not the master of anything. You're a master of none, but a jack of all trades, and you've thrown everything at the wall. And I honestly believe in both, but I've gotten to the point where I'm throwing everything, man. Until something sticks, and when it does stick, I ride it till it goes.
No, I appreciate that sentiment because I think as an artist, if you want to really succeed in the real world, you have to have, if you look at any artist, they have some other different thing, whether they did something in film or music or whatever. They have some other avenue where they've at least done something in it. So yeah, it's smart to do that.
It's finding the thing that really sets you apart from everyone. So you do find your like main thing, but then also finding other avenues that might also increase your getting noticed. But you also have to be careful that you're not doing such different content with like every video you upload, because then people who followed you for one thing are unfollowing you next. And I think if I had to make any recommendations for like internet stuff, I don't know why, I guess I'm qualified now, Mr. I just walked a few blocks of the house and was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, I've got it. It's just, you're gonna lose followers. Like once you start really you will upload a video that could get thousands of followers in a day, and then the next few days hundreds. But then there's a chance that you'll keep making that same content that you might fall off for a second, and you'll start losing maybe 20 followers a day. And that could go on for a month or even a few months. And the point is to not get discouraged because you've said this before in your podcast. We're in the day of age of you're fighting the algorithm, right? And sometimes the algorithm will find one of your videos and boost it up. And you can keep making content similar to that and it won't boost it up. The point is to make a decision of do I want to start with something completely different and hope people stay with me, or do I want to keep on the track? I'm someone who uses different platforms that keep on a track. So like my YouTube is completely different than my TikToks. Everything's very different. So I'm in the firm belief of like once you have something that hits, you'll probably have a few flops, but keep sticking with that recipe. Because if you won the Chili Fest once with that recipe, the next few might not win because like people are like, oh, now I know what I'm fighting against, the evil AI, but eventually you'll pop back. You'll enter a new competition. That same chili recipe, that'll get you somewhere.
So why do you think you're like losing followers? Just because of the algorithm, or
so like let's see, on TikTok is probably my best example, I guess. You have highs and you have lows. I'll have a video that gets 1 million views, right? I gain a few thousand followers. It's pushing me close to 150,000 followers. I'm excited. And then the next video I upload only gets 25,000. And then the next video I upload only gets 15,000. And then 5,000. And then now it's just 5,000, 5,000, 6,000, 5,000. It is when you're uploading those, every once in a while, the person who watched your million view video, they saw all the likes, they saw all the comments, they're like, oh, this guy, follow. But then they see your other video that might not be doing as well. They don't have the thing in their brain anymore that's like, hype train, this guy, they might unfollow you. And it doesn't mean you're making bad content. It just means that that person wasn't like a diehard follower in the first place. You were going to lose them eventually. It's very hard to keep followers. And it's just, I don't think it's like, I'm not here like, you're going to get shadow banned, it's going to be ruined. My content clearly isn't as good as it could be, because if I was making rockstar hit video every time, it would be million, because the algorithm works like that. So clearly, I know which videos I'm like, this one's going to be it. And sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And it's just like, you have to have a balance of like, understand that your video wasn't the best it could be, and that's why I didn't do well, but also don't hate yourself and be like, I'm the worst at what I do, I'm going to delete this video, completely change my content. You have to understand that sometimes if your video isn't a 10 out of 10, the algorithm probably won't promote it. So when your video is a 10 out of 10, you get that million viewed video, the algorithm pushes it, you're gaining followers, you're set. Then you've got like a 7.5 out of 10. That's not bad, right? 7.5 is great, but it's not good enough for the algorithm to push. So it's still getting thousands of views, you're set, you're good, but no one new is seeing it. Only your like core base followers are, and every once in a while a random follower, and that random follower will unfollow you. You lose a few followers a day. Don't be discouraged, because you're gonna have another peak. So I very much believe in like the peak and valley thing. I have no idea how we got on this talk, and I don't think anyone here is listening to be like, how do I become a better content creator from this regular guy who's got a little bit of clout on the internet, the smallest amount. Like, I am not qualified at all. I guess I was just going off of like my experience, I guess.
Well, I was gonna say we were talking about your background, but I was gonna say those are still impressive stats. I mean, I don't use TikTok, and
yeah, you should get it's the future, man. They're saying it's gonna replace Instagram, dude. Instagram is the dying medium. TikTok is on the rise. TikTok's not going anywhere. It survived against Trump. It's the coronavirus saved it. Trump couldn't destroy it. It's here to stay, man. Get on it. I'm not get on TikTok right now.
God damn. I don't know, man. There's something about like how it's designed that just seems like I would never get anything done. And that's, I mean, that is good for you, obviously. Yeah. You know that.
Jake, what you're doing is not real, and I think you're a fraud. You brought me on here to be like, I think TikTok isn't real. You're a fraud, and you shouldn't have a platform. I'm like, oh,
you are part of the problem.
Yeah, what are you doing? You're not a real creator. I can understand.
Well, you have a podcast too, so I mean,
yeah, I do other stuff, but TikTok has been where I've seen the most success. Because TikTok has these weird niches and avenues. Because I did YouTube videos first. I was a YouTuber and saw success on YouTube first. And then TikTok, I was like, I made a TikTok once.
What's your TikTok tag for people who might?
Jake Truemper 44.
Okay.
So, It used to be my number in sports, but then it also kind of sounds like I'm shouting out Obama, which is really weird because it's like he was our 44th president. But then I also have Trump in my last name, so it's like, what's he doing? I was like, I don't know.
I like them both.
I like them both. Very divisive. Yeah. So I guess I can understand where the hatred comes from because I made one. I was like, Jake Truemper one, and in my bio I said, "Am I famous yet?" Because I thought it'd be funny. I tried to make a video. I hated it. I was like, this is stupid. This is going nowhere. TikTok sucks. And everyone would be like, are you on TikTok? I was like, no, it sucks. And then in like very early 2020, late 2019, I started making TikToks. And I gotta be honest, man, I kind of loved it. It was fun. It's fun. I was like, this is awesome. Granted, sometimes I feel old as hell being 22 and seeing like all these 16-year-olds be like killing it too, and I'm like, damn, it's really for anybody. But like, there is some validation in there, and I think you post highlights. Literally, I think the main reason. Also, I'm gonna call myself out real quick if that's cool.
Sure.
The way I got onto this podcast was
you asked me. Right?
Yeah. Cringe. The cringiest thing. I work in radio. I'll have people email me, like local artists, and I work in a radio station that plays top 40. So, like, we're playing Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber. We don't really play a local artist, right? And most local artists who hit me up are doing, like, not top 40 songs in the first place. I love local artists, man. I'm so glad that we have such a great scene here in Iowa. Benny and the Jet was the first. He's a friend of mine.
Oh, really?
We're acquaintance. I think he knows of me. I know of him. Okay. We follow each other, and I saw him share podcast episodes. I was like, and I saw you. I was like, this dude's talented as hell. And that's why I wanted to get on. Is you have a very good voice, very good everything.
That's awesome. Man.
So it was so cringy because I was like, I've seen people have people be like, yo, will you play my song? I'm like, that's kind of cringy to reach out. And then I reach out to you. I did it. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I was like, hey, man, can I be on your podcast? You're like, so professional. You literally did the response I do to people. Because, like, there'll be people who send me songs that are great songs. But I'm just like, I know I can't play it. Like, I don't have the power to play it. So I'll be like, hey, man, thank you so much for sending it. Blah, blah. And you're like, hey, man, thank you so much for reaching out. We'll see if we can fit you in. And I'm so cringy. I hate I was like, I'm in it already. I was like, it won't be a waste of your time. I've got this many followers, this many views. What was I doing? That's so what was the thought process there? I was like, I would have beat myself up. If I was on your end, I would have been like, blocked. This guy's weird. So the fact that you were like, hey, man, we can get you in on February. I was like, I went back and read it, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. But going back to it does circle back, I promise. After calling myself out, the reason I reached out, though, is because you have a very good presence, very good, I think, the equipment solid, great sound quality, great lighting. You do a very good job hosting. It's always interesting. So many podcasts these days. Everyone has a podcast. Every white guy out there, white guy has a podcast, right? Every moderately funny white guy goes, I'm going to start a podcast, right? And I say that because we literally both make podcasts. So, but you do such a good job of not interrupting, listening, pushing it forward. The most annoying podcasts are the ones that are just circle. It just keeps, you don't get anywhere, or like a topic gets dropped, all of that. And you do a good job of not letting it get dropped. You bring stuff back. And I promise I'm still bringing back my original point of your content is so good, and I feel like you're underrated, and that's why you should post your highlights on TikTok, because you have great highlights. There we go. That was a very circle-about way, beating around the bush to tell you to get a TikTok, but get a TikTok, because I think again, underrated, and I feel like a great way for people to get recognized is on TikTok. It's all about, it's the best word of mouth is just posting a highlight to TikTok. You lose nothing for doing it.
Interesting.
The pros outweigh the cons so much. What's the con? Oh, man, I started a TikTok. I abandoned all my morals. Pros, million views. Your podcast is huge within a week. All right? Sometimes you got to throw out your morals, man. And that's all I'm saying is you can have morals or you can be famous. All right? It's one or the other, okay?
Damn.
I've many times I threw out my morals to get on this podcast. It was so cringy. And it's not like, and here's the thing, it's not like no one in Iowa is Joe Rogan, right? It's not like my podcast doesn't pull millions of views. Your podcast doesn't pull millions of views. Yeah. But I literally reached out. I was like, I gotta get on. I don't know why, but I was like, I gotta get on this guy's podcast. I gotta get on there, and it was so cringe. I just threw morals away. I don't know why, but I did. So sometimes you just gotta be cringy, you know.
Yeah.
And that is.
We're cringy a lot here.
Not to be a cringe contest, but it's like it's a cool cringe. You're like smoking cigars. Like if you say something cringy, you're smoking cigars. Yeah. It's not. People are like, well, actually, it's still kind of cool. My cringe is I'm like something cringy. They're like, ooh, yikes.
Well, shit, man. I don't think I've had my dick sucked that hard on the show yet. So.
Don't say it like that. No. Hold on. Okay, now I gotta counteract it. Okay, all right. This tarp. What is the? Why didn't you put a tack in the middle to make it not sagging? Huh? Looks pretty stupid. Your trees aren't standing very tall. Dumb tarp. You got a dumbass tarp back there, man. Huh? Trees, real original. Dumb. Stupid tree background. God. Never got me a water when I asked for it, too. He said, you want a water? Yeah, man, I'd love it if it wouldn't bother you. Never gave me a water, so there you go. Screw you. Hate it here, man. Hate this podcast. Didn't want to be here. God. He asked me to be on it, actually. Everything else I said. God. Man. Trying to give a compliment, man. Shit.
I have a glass, but invisible cheers. Yeah.
Thanks. With the water you didn't give me. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. You did say, I walked in, you're like, hey man, you want a water? I was like, yeah, I'd love that. You're like, you're not getting one. Just figured I'd ask.
How's Molly gonna go get it?
Oh no, Molly, you don't have to. Molly, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm the better host.
Molly's great. Molly's my favorite now. She's number one, all right?
We gotta start the new Molly podcast.
Thank you, Molly.
Oh, gosh.
I'm a Molly stan now. I hate this podcast.
That's good shit, man. Good shit. Well, no, seriously though, I really do appreciate the words you say.
Yeah.
It fills me with a lot of joy that people get on this thing. We're actually in about 2 weeks. It'll be a year.
Really?
Since we started this thing.
That's awesome, man. And you're almost to 100 subscribers too. You're only like 5 away, and that honestly, the first 100 is like the.
That's what I've heard. It's the hardest.
The first handful is the hardest. The first 100, if you can get to 100, it means you can get to 1,000, right? Mm. If it's been 5 years and you're still at under 100, getting 5 views, maybe change up the formula. You know what I mean? Maybe there's something wrong there. You know,
yeah, right.
But 100 subscribers in a year. You've gotten consistent guests, good stuff. It's definitely like meaning you can grow, which is always exciting to see. So I did, because I saw, like I said, I watched a few of your videos before. Because that'd be the dumbest thing ever to just be like, I'm not gonna watch anything. I'm just coming in, no idea what to expect.
Hey, you wouldn't be the first person who's done that.
Not to call out anybody who's come here. I like to pre-prepare. You know, like I'm not gonna like run into something without knowing, you know.
Some people take a little too much Xanax, some baby bars.
That is hilarious. I've heard you had I was trying to think of like my cool stories with drugs and everything, and I was like, all of mine kind of suck. Like theirs are so cool. Mine, I was like, I got robbed once. That was pretty cool.
So, yeah, I kind of a weird segue, but I am curious about that. You don't do anything anymore, really, right?
So I overdid everything in high school. My parents' parenting style was very unique in the sense of both my parents were really rebellious kids because they had such strict. Well, so my dad's parents were going through a divorce when he was in high school, so he just didn't get any attention. So he was like rebellious. My mom, both of her parents were Methodist priests.
Oh,
so they both were very rebellious. So they both had the mindset of I feel like they had like a secret meeting, and they're like, we need to let our kids do what they want, but also keep up to date. So they would always know what was going on with my life. But I was like the dude who could do anything, right? So I remember, I think I started. This isn't that cool or anything, but like I probably started sophomore year of high school. Started going to the craziest parties I could go to. Pot brownies were my favorite. I loved it, man. High school. I don't think nothing like insane. I saw a lot of fights. I had this friend named Hunter Melsha. Ooh. That's not his name. That's not his name. No. We're gonna pretend like that's not actually his name, because he got into a lot of run-ins and got us into some of the worst situations of night. We call them nights that never happened. But and then like I was a runner for a little bit. Like I dealt a little bit, and then I got robbed. Which kind of that made me stop. So like at the peak, I was like doing anything I could, as much as I could, and I got robbed. Thankfully, I was taking boxing. The guy had beaten me, but he left, so he didn't steal anything. So I'll just tell the lame story. I feel so stupid doing it because everyone else's is like, yeah, I robbed someone and took his stuff. Mine's like, yeah, so I got robbed, and so I was just running these, and the guy was like, so I walk out, and we just have them in these fucking cheap Ziploc bags. And I'm like, all right,
you guys selling weed?
No, it was just normal brownies, man. I was running two normal brownies for $25, okay? That's all it was. I don't know what you're talking about, but it was just two normal brownies, man, because he was getting one for him and his girlfriend, and I should have known something was weird when I got there, and it wasn't a girl in his passenger seat, it was a guy. So that should have been a red flag. He got out of his car, too, to, like, come to me. I was like, that doesn't usually happen. They don't usually, because with me, it's not like I was never like with friends. If you're with friends, you both get into the car together. You sit, yeah. But I was like,
I would have driven away.
And he came. I should have driven away. I should have. But I'm I'm done. No. I'm just an idiot. And I was like, oh, I'll get out too, because I was like, I'm not backing down. I'm 6'1". I was working out at the time, taking boxing. I was like, I got it. And then the dumbest thing ever. He was like, can I see it? He's going to take it. Why would I give him to see it? I'd be like, no, they're right here. Give me the $25. It's $25, dude. What am I so much? So he goes, can I see it? I give it to him. He's like, all right, yeah, I'm going to take this. And I was like, no. And he's like, all right, cool, give me your phone. And I was like, what? No. And he's like, give me your wallet. I was like, oh, okay, this is a full-on robbery. I'm getting robbed. Okay. So he has a guy in his passenger seat as well. So I was like, okay, there's two ways I can handle this. I just leave, right? I don't need the $25. But in my head, I was like, you've been pushed around for too long, Jake. This is your time.
Oh, no.
Those are your non-illegal brownies in that bag. Your mom worked very hard to make those. It wasn't your sketch friend in his abandoned home oven so that the house wouldn't smell bad. It was very... so I said no. He like walked up on me. The second he walked up on me, I kind of noticed he didn't have like a weapon probably, right? Because like if someone's robbing you and you're like, no, they're going to pull on you, right?
Yeah.
He didn't. He like kind of tried to get closer and like size me up. So I was like, I might actually have a chance here. You know, I was like, maybe this guy's not that big. We'd probably be same weight class. I was like, at this point I've completely forgot about the guy in the passenger seat. So I'm like, I can do this. Long story short, we ended up fighting. I tried boxing. He was not having that and just went to tackle me. So he hit me on the ground. I hit my head. I managed to... He was an idiot and got back up, though. He should have taken me out on the ground. And then I got him to the ground. He hit me in the nose, and I have a scar on my nose now because he broke my nose. But while he was on the ground, I managed to hit him a few times. But, like, I'm out of it. I was, like, one hit away. Like, I was, like... I ain't hear no bell, you know, like I was trying to seem cool, but like if he would hit me one more time, I would have been out. They would have taken everything. But instead he's just like, fuck this. And he just gets back in his car, drives away. I pick up my brownies. I have to sit in my car. I'm like holding my nose like this, and I'm just sitting in my car for like 30 minutes because I couldn't drive. Everything was dizzy, and like I was just like, nice. And then I went back and I gave him the brownies and I quit. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I didn't go to the hospital because I was too embarrassed. So,
goddamn, that's a story. You're lucky as fuck, man.
I was so dumb. I was like, I have to stop this. Like that was that's what like, because because I just kept going crazier stuff, and then at that I was like, that right there is like the GameStop stock dropping for me. I was just like, okay, I'm done. I was like, it's time to simmer down. And by my first year my first year in college before I dropped out, I just stopped any illegal substances, and now I don't even drink that much either, because there's just so many awful experiences in high school. I also like doing it in high school because it was like I was a minor, right? By the time I was 18, I was already like stopping everything, and by 19, I was done. So yeah, now I'm a square. I'm kind of a loser. I'm the designated driver 9 out of 10 times.
Hey man, that's fair. I always, I like weed. I like psychedelics. I like alcohol and shit.
Heck yeah.
But I think if you can go through life without needing that kind of stuff, all the more power to you.
Yeah, I'm actually addicted to Lego now. I'm not even joking. I have a Lego city in my house. I love Lego. That's my go-to now. So, I really
Stay away from you.
Yeah. I'm the weird guy who builds Lego. All right, it's so. Like, they came out with the new 501st Battle Pack for Star Wars Lego. I was all over that, man. That was a cool set. Oh my god, that was an awesome set. But talking about psychedelics, the only time I did a psychedelic was my brownies were accidentally laced.
With what?
I still don't know to this day, because my friend at the time, he sold us a whole pan for $100, which was a great deal, right? But he ended up losing money on it because he gave us the wrong pan. Was the outcome of it? So, and I think it's always funny when like people who haven't had it, because I haven't since. Like I never purposely have done it because I just had such a bad experience. But obviously, accidentally taking a psychedelic is going to be a bad experience. But another thing is like movies and people always like make it sound way crazier than it's going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like
they make it seem like there's gonna be a dragon that appears in front of your fridge and shit like that.
Yeah, they're like everything is crazy. The craziest thing that happened was like I knowingly manifested myself in the doorway to tell me it's gonna be okay as I'm sitting on a toilet puking. You know, that was the craziest thing. Everything else was just like it feel like I'm sitting there, wave hits me, and I'm like, what's happening? Sitting there, wave, whoa, what's happening? Just like. Oh my god, I was on this time loop and it just sucked, and I had to go to my friends and I had to be like, guys, I love you so much, man, but I gotta go to bed. I work tomorrow.
Fuck.
I worked at because I thought it was just gonna be a nice
right?
little.
That probably made it worse.
That made it way worse because I was like, what? We did it at like 6 p.m. I was like, if this is a normal experience, I'm good by 10 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah. You know what I mean? But now. Oh my god, it was the worst thing ever because it lasted like 3 days. Like I could tell, like if
shit, really?
If the first night's 100%, the next day was like 60%. The day after that, 10%, and then the fourth day was like 2%. I still didn't feel full.
Damn, that's
so,
insane.
Well, to be fair, we could have eaten just a normal size, but all of us were like, again, we thought it was normal, just normal brownies. We probably each took our fair share of a quarter.
Oh, damn.
Which is, for laced, apparently that's bad.
Well, I was going to say, like, I would think it was mushrooms. Because I've had a mushroom edible before. And that was actually the only time I had a good time on mushrooms.
That's nice. That's nice, man. I'm going to take your word for it because I don't know. But that was a just worst experience in high school. I saw pictures of us, like, because we had the pan. We all cut ourselves quarters of it, right? And it was a big pan. And it's just us taking pictures of it together, me and my three friends, and we were just it was awful because they were fine. And then the next day I went to work at a place. I'm not gonna say the place, but it's like a Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh shit, that'd be awful.
I'm in the. I was a supervisor there, and I was the head. I made. I was like 17 there, and like I worked with so it was like 17, 16, and 15-year-olds. I'd make everyone call me head chef, but that day. I was just not having it, man. We get in there, I managed to set everything up, and then this is just me all day. The wall's right here, and I'm just like... and then someone would come to me, and I'd be like, yeah, what? Yeah. Okay, cool. I had to go to my boss, and everything, it got worse and worse throughout the day, and I was like, boss, I was like holding myself, I was like, I think I have the flu, and I'm sick. I bet my pupils were so... I was so... awful, man. And I just went home and slept all day. And then the next day was a Sunday, and I had to work again. And I called in sick again. I just tried to drive around. I was like, I gotta be fine. I still did not feel right. It was the worst experience of my life,
damn,
dude.
That's insane.
It was awful. No real cool. The coolest things were me in the bathroom manifesting myself to come up to me and be like, "It's gonna be all right, man." And I was like, "Thank you." And I shit you not. Right when I do that to myself, I just woke up in my bed the next morning. I was like, no alarm, no nothing. I just knew I needed to go to work. And at first, I felt fine. In the morning, I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Drove to work, no problem. Second I get to work is when I was just like, oh, God, I'm not fine, man. I'm not fine. Everything had a gray, depressing tint on it as well. Yeah, that was that experience.
That's weird. I can't say I mean, so lately I'm not really fucking with psychedelics because
I don't blame you. That was a terrible experience. That was a bad time.
Yeah, well, you gotta know that you're taking psychedelics. That. If you are drugged like that, that's fucking awful.
It was so awful, man. My friends, when I woke up there, I was asleep on the couch and I couldn't even wake them up. They were just gone. It was a bad experience for all of us. We still talk about it. We're like, remember that time? Bad. It was bad.
So would you say that that experience had anything to do with you?
Yes. That was while I was already on the downslope, because I was kind of doing that to be like, no, it's still fun with friends, and then I was like, no.
Oh, so that was after you got robbed.
Yeah, that was even after I got robbed. So I was like, this ain't it, man. This is not it. And just because personally, I just started getting a bad luck, a lot of bad luck, and I was like, I just can't do it anymore. So now I'm here, being a square, and I feel bad because people always be like, you want to hit? And I'm like, probably someday again. But I've been, I don't mean to be say sober, right? But it's been 3 years now.
Yeah.
So since I have, so I just overdid in high school.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. I think that's a good thing to do. Maybe 5-10 years down the road, maybe if you're a little more comfortable and settled into yourself, you can maybe re-explore that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's something where, and as it continues to get legalized and everything.
Yeah, and that's a big part too.
Yeah, because a year ago, I wasn't even doing anything. My ex-girlfriend now, she was, and I remember we got pulled over once, and she had it on her, and that was just stressful because the cop, he didn't think anything, but I was panicking a little bit because I was driving. And then when he left, as he was walking up, there's this, for the past few years now, cops have been backing each other up. So if a cop car sees another cop car, he'll pull up behind him, right? Just for safety reasons. The cop car that was pulling up to him was a canine unit, and I heard a dog bark, but he handed me my license and was sending me on my way as that happened. So they couldn't be like, we're re-stopping you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he handed me my license. I was like, thank you, sir. And I just left. And and just knowing that I was that close, it just kind of made me dislike the experience even more. And then my current girlfriend now also, she gets anxiety whenever she has those kind of experiences with smoking and stuff. So she doesn't either. So we're both, we just drink sometimes,
Yeah. Hey, that's good, man. Kind of on that weird tangent on that note. If you ever get pulled over and they suspect, well,
I'm sure I'll be using this a lot, right? With where I'm at right now.
So if they I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100%, but if they suspect that you have weed in your car and they, because they have to have probable cause to search the vehicle. So for some reason they don't have that and they're calling the canine unit, the key thing is to ask, am I being detained?
Yes.
Am I being held against my will? And if they say no, you can leave.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for that.
And I knew he didn't call that guy up, right? I just knew.
Yeah.
Because I had already kind of been I don't know, I like to kind of try to keep my finger on the pulse of everything that's going on. So I already knew that, especially in Iowa, they were doing, these backups where if a cop saw another cop, they'd pull up just to see what's going on. So I was just, I would have been very unlucky if it was a few, even a minute difference. It could have meant a whole worse experience for me. You know what I mean? Because if that car would have pulled up and the dog starts freaking out, he could have been like, hey, we're going to have you hold tight. You know what I mean? So I'm lucky that it just went the way it did. And I was like, this is why I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, it is a real problem being illegal. Well, we're moving into a new place, and I'm probably gonna not be smoking the herb. I'm probably just gonna smoke shatter. concentrates.
Gotcha.
Because of the
Okay.
smell, and it's
Yeah.
safer. I have the pen. I can kind of do it discreetly.
That's a lot. The pen has helped a lot of people. I feel like it
Yeah.
is gotten. I feel like it's probably gotten a lot of people out of a sticky situation.
Yeah. It's a way safer. Like I don't want to be the person anymore whose place just reeks of weed all the fucking time.
Yeah,
and there's just certain people who just cannot come over.
Yeah, I have friends like that where it's like when I go into their apartment, I know it's gonna be. Like, I don't just like it. I don't judge them or anything. It's just always funny because it's like I know what that like. There's other people and they're like, oh, let me light this new candle, and you walk in, you're like, oh, it's a new lavender smell. Their house, you're always like,
Yeah.
oh, it's weed. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, trust me 4 years ago, I'd be saying "fuck you" to me now,
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I used to smoke cigarettes.
Okay,
so I would
gotcha.
smoke cigarettes in my apartment. This is probably when I was 19, so 6 years.
Fair enough.
So my walls would by the time I left the 2 year lease, they were stained from I was smoking a pack a
Jesus
day.
Christ! Oh my God!
Just constantly.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
You did what Ulysses S. Grant used to do. He's addicted to. He loves cigars, but
yeah, the cigars I have to keep that in mind. Make sure I'm not doing them too much because it's actually. I think a cigar is worth a whole pack of cigarettes in terms of the tar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that Ulysses S. Grant died because of throat cancer because he was smoking during the Civil War. He was smoking a pack of cigars a day.
Oh shit! A pack of cigars.
He was addicted to them. It was a joke. People as gifts would give him a shit ton of cigars. So yeah,
that's like Freud, man. He lost his jaw. From
yeah,
that shit.
people. Cigars will mess you up sometimes, man. I saw that because in the message you asked if I like cigars.
Yeah, well, this is actually a good segue to what I was going to talk about next, your podcast. I was watching your last episode, and the guy pulled out because I don't think Cubans are illegal anymore, though, are they?
They're not illegal anymore,
yeah,
no.
It might have just been, I don't know. He was saying it was illegal, and I didn't. But, no, I saw they pulled that out, and I was like, oh, maybe.
Yeah, maybe Jake's a big cigar. No, he just has, I think he likes cigars, but we've never, I've literally never smoked one. I probably will someday. It's a cool thing to do, But I feel like since I never have, I need to accomplish something. I need to accomplish something and then step out on a balcony. Sit down in a chair and then light my, in my $10,000 outfit, after I've truly made it, and then I can, and then I'll think back to this and be like, I made it,
When you drink, what kind of do you like? Do you like whiskey or bourbon or anything like that? What do you like to drink?
That is a good question. When I used to go to the bars, I just got rum and Coke. I was just a rum and Coke guy. That was the go-to. That's what I knew. It was either rum and Coke, or I'd go up to the bartender and be like, hey, this is going to sound really weird, but not to be weird, but do you just have a fruity drink? I need a fruity drink right now. I feel like ass. I just had so much rum and Coke. Just got some fruity, it's blue, or it's red, or it's just tropical and fun, and it doesn't really taste like alcohol. I need that, man. And they'll be like, yeah, I got you. I'm like, thank you so much. So it was either rum and Coke or a very just fruity drink, because I guess if I had to pick one, have you ever had firewater? I don't know what firewater is. I don't know exactly
I've
what
never heard of
I'm not
that.
fan. I'm not like,
Molly,
yeah,
look
I like
that up.
my
What's firewater?
I like whiskey, or there's so much fancy whiskey. I know my friend, his name's Zach. He lived in Tennessee for a while. Big bourbon fan. So he always it was either rum and Coke or a very just fruity drink, because I guess. That was terrifying. That was my voice. I just heard my voice back to me. I was like, what the? I thought we just entered a parallel universe for a second there.
Inception.
Yeah, so I do like bourbon when it's good. He's
Okay.
giving me some great Tennessee bourbon. Vodka's probably my go-to. When I was in Russia for a while, that's what I was really into, was just vodka.
So what? It's
all the
whiskey?
time.
Or
I don't even know, man. Firewater. All I know is I threw a party one time in high school, and everyone got sick on the firewater, and one guy peed his pants. Other people were puking. One kid had. Yeah, that bottle is evil.
that's disgusting.
Evil, man. That was evil. It is oh my God. A kid got sent to the hospital. Had to get his stomach pumped. On my birthday, it was my birthday party. It was the night before. Kid had to get sent to the hospital. His dad, complete jerk, right? His dad's like, I want to meet, like, after he calls my parents and everything, he's like, I want to meet you and talk to you about it. And he's like blaming me for it. I was like, man, your son was the one drinking to the point where he had to get his stomach pumped, but all right. I don't see how it's, your 17-year-old son was hanging out with a bunch of other 17-year-olds, including myself. How is another 17-year-old, how is it my fault? You know, my parents were out of town, and I was throwing the party, right? And he's all mad. At the end, I was 17 turning 18, and it was that Sunday. And he goes, as I'm leaving, he goes, is it your birthday? I was like, yeah. He goes, happy birthday. And he just slams the door in my face, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this birthday sucks. Awful experience. Someone puked in my bed, man. I had a Tempur-Pedic mattress. It absorbs the puke, so had to get rid of that bed. Now I just have some really crappy spring bread.
Damn.
But
I want to punch. I want to punch every motherfucker who says that Fireball is whiskey. It's not fucking whiskey. It's fucking mouthwash, man. That shit.
It does kind of taste. Wow.
It's
I drink
fucking like. Hey, you want some whiskey? Sure. Here's Fireball. That's not like fuck off. I'm not drinking that.
Did you think I was like an idiot and was meaning Fireball? I have to ask. When I said fire water, did you think like maybe I was confused in saying Fireball? Because I feel a lot of people have said that. Like they're like, oh, you don't know alcohol very well. You mean Fireball? And I was like, no.
I'm gullible as fuck. So I honestly thought maybe it was, but I thought maybe it was like similar, like related to Fireball. Like maybe it was like a sub brand or something like that.
Gotcha. No, it is a spawn of Satan, my friend. Awful drink, man. It'll mess you up.
Damn.
So
your podcast, Jank Podcast.
Yes.
Talk about that. Like, what was the background? Who's the friend that you talked about him a little bit?
His name's Alex Schulte. We used to work in radio together, and then I moved to a different radio station, and then the radio station he stayed with, they've been struggling for a while, and the pandemic didn't make it any better, so he doesn't work there anymore. So yeah, but he's doing his own stuff now, and I was like, well, I make history videos on TikTok. I need to make a podcast because my YouTube channel is just like critiques and looks at other YouTubers. But I was like, I've always wanted to do a podcast. What if I did a history themed podcast and the bit would be I know history, you don't. So usually it's just me dunking on him with history, which is just so stupid, and he just makes fun of me for it, which is a lot of fun. But I was just like, let's start one. So I started one with my other friend first. His name was Everett. We made it to about 4 episodes, but then it just got too difficult. Then I did a few on my own, and then Alex came in and was like, let's do it together. We got a splitter. We do it now. It's fun. It's not my most viewed thing. It's not my most popular thing, but it's a good way to just give sorry, I didn't mean to just kick you in the knee and play footsie with you there. It was just a way for me to create a longer form of history comedic education for those like diehard followers I had that loved history and wanted to hear more that weren't just in a minute-long form.
Yeah, well, I mean, the one that I saw had like 500 plus views. I mean, you still is still substantial compared to what we're doing. You know?
Yeah, they still give you. I guess just like my other YouTube videos that get like thousands of views. I'm like, I prefer making the podcast because it's very low. It's literally, we record it into a splitter. He sends it to me. We line it up. I post. I do a few zoom ins because they're funny. Post it, right? The other videos just take, I have an editor. His name's Harrison. We're good friends. Those videos just take work, research. They get the views, but it's just, sometimes you just need a break. You know what I mean? So the podcast for me is a very good, kind of just way to just say whatever I want as well. So, and I think that's what's good about having, like with your podcast, with having a podcast that you're starting from the ground up, right? It doesn't have thousands and millions of views, but right now you can literally say whatever you want, and it's such a safe space to grow. I couldn't imagine being someone who's already like a very well-known celebrity and then immediately jumping into, and that's why like David Spade, he started a podcast, made it 7 episodes in, stops. So many famous people are like, I'll start a podcast, and it doesn't go anywhere because it's so hard to, because it's like they're so mainstream Hollywood, and you have so much stuff you can't say. Even I'm pretty cookie cutter, I'd say, compared to a lot of your other podcasts. I've been very bland, honestly, with like my stories. It's like I don't dive too deep into it, right? Because I'm I'm very cookie cutter with my jobs and everything. I don't want to say anything that'll ever get me canceled.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think that's what's so fun about having podcasts like this is I think it's a good creative outlet for you. And you seem like the creative type, so I think it's a great creative outlet, especially when you're starting out from the ground up. But
definitely, I've always been the opposite of a cookie cutter. So
yeah.
It molds well for me to like have this type of show where I just do and say whatever the fuck I want,
which is nice. I think that's a really great outlet to have. It'd be crazy if I did this and then like I went back and watched one and it turns out you're like a QAnon extremist, and then they're like, even though I didn't say anything on here, it turns out like Jake Truemper has ties to. And turns out you're like just alt-right extremist. I'm like, oh my god, why did I do? You know what I mean?
I'm not alt-right.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I didn't think you were from the episodes I saw. I'm like, I'm pretty sure, or alt-left, and you're like,
yeah, right.
I need to burn. It's just, I was like, I can't ever. You can't really align yourself with. I guess it's probably more mainstream acceptable to align yourself with more far left extremist views, but still, once you start like associating yourself with anyone who considers themselves an extremist, you kind of get labeled as that too, and you're like, whoa. I'm just like Tom Brady said he's not. Tom Brady was like, before Trump ran for president, we golfed together, we were friends. Then Trump was like, will you come speak at a Republican convention? Tom Brady's like, no. Tom Brady did have one of his hats in his locker, but they're friends. So, but already people are like, Tom Brady's a Trump supporter. And Tom Brady's like, we're just friends, man. We were friends before he ran for president. I didn't like, and there's some friends out there who you have that you don't know have. I would say Trump has had some more crazy things he said, but he's saying that with a microphone in front of his face. You don't know what he's like saying to Tom Brady when they're golfing. He's probably just like, so Brady, how's your time going? You know, Brady, they're just having like normal conversations. So I feel bad that they're just like, Tom Brady, awful. I was like, I mean, he just golfs with that guy. It's not like it'd be different if you're golfing with like Hitler, right? then there's probably somewhere. But to be fair, Herbert Hoover, president, right? Mm-hmm. He met with Hitler before they knew Hitler was doing all the bad stuff. And he was like, Hitler's doing things right. For a while, in Germany to other countries, they were like, this guy is getting Germany back on track. Because they didn't know what was going on behind scenes. They didn't know the extremist stuff. So it's so hard to be like, just because Herbert Hoover met with Hitler, that means Herbert Hoover agreed with him. Yeah. It's like, Herbert Hoover sucked, but I don't think it was because of that. I think there's sometimes where someone might just meet someone or be aligned with someone before they knew that they were crazy. So that's where I will now use this as a segue, saying that if you're crazy, I do not align myself with if somehow something comes out, I am not aligned with that in the slightest.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I don't.
Nobody cares. No one cares about that. The fact that I even said that, the media wouldn't care either. They would just clip that part out and just be like, clip it up to make it seem like where I'm like, I do agree with you.
No, right. I thought about going on Anchor FM. I don't know if you do that at all.
No, what is it?
Have you heard of it?
No.
So it's a pretty. They say like 25% of podcasts are on that. I mean, who knows how?
Oh yes, I know.
Pretty big.
Yes, okay. I actually do know what you're talking about.
And I've like debated a couple times because it's free. You know, I pay like $10 a month for my thing.
Yeah,
but you kind of going into like what we were talking about, like with censorship and you know all that kind of stuff that's going on right now. Like that like libertarian part of me is just like I need to hold on to what's my own. Like if I have to pay fucking $10 a month to like keep my platform like free to me, like nobody's gonna tell me what to say. Like I'm willing to do that.
Yeah. What do you use?
It's called RSS.com.
Nice. I think I use Podchaser. I don't know what it's called. I use something. I don't know. Alex does it all. Alex.
Oh,
he's the smart guy. I'm the idiot. I'm a dumb idiot, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I am half the time. I had a hard enough time finding a parking spot to come here. You're like, just park on the street. And this old lady stole my spot. And then I was like, I guess I'll park 5 blocks away. It's negative 3 degrees outside. I'll walk. It's fine. I don't know what's going on. I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Well, the new place we're getting, we're going to be in a duplex, so people will actually be able to park. But I always feel so bad having people here. Like good luck parking. Like,
yeah. Before we wrap up, I don't know if you have any other questions. So before you have any ending questions, I do want to ask you a question.
Yeah. Go for it.
What's like the craziest thing you believe, like conspiracy theory wise? Doesn't have to be doesn't have to be bad.
God.
Don't you can pick something stupid if you want. I don't know why I did that. I thought it'd just be funny to make something. Because I bet you, have you ever done?
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Oh god. Have you ever been asked?
No, we've talked about certain things. Like we've talked about stuff me and Molly in here, but I've never really been asked that. Molly, what do you think? Do you have a what in terms of what I think? What do you think's the?
I'm gonna look up which one I think is the craziest. There's gotta be one that's like not offensive.
Okay,
what's like an innocent one?
That's not offensive.
Sure, bro, it's your podcast. Don't let me be like, sorry, you can't be offensive or sorry. It's your podcast. Screw what I say. I was just meaning like if you didn't want to offend anyone, feel free to do an innocent one.
I don't give a shit about that either. The one I can think off the top of my head is probably 9/11.
Okay, well what do you think?
How the second tower came down, it really looks like a demolition.
Interesting. So you think like Bush was behind it to try to?
It's possible. What I say in saying this, I acknowledge that there were people that died in 9/11 in that tragedy. It was awful. And I acknowledge all that. But if the forces in the government were our government were the ones that caused that to happen, I think people should know.
Can I make a counter to that?
Sure.
Okay. So a lot of extremists were in support of hurting America. That's how they got those people on the airplanes in the first place, right? Extremist followers. Who's to say that the reason the government and the police have never been like, yes, there were explosives, is because they don't actually know, and just other extremists posing as like workers went in and we just never even knew that part happened, right? So there could have been a demolition that was done, but it was just done by the same extremists, and our government is actually just very dumb and they didn't even know it was coming. So it is some extremist just on the street watching it happen. It's like, yes. And he pushes the button, right? We don't know that. And maybe because my craziest like conspiracy theory is the most anti-conspiracy theory. It's that the government and FBI want us to think that they have all this power. Like the meme of like the FBI is watching us through our phone. They wanted that to blow up. But in actuality, because all these kids do these insane evil things, and it's like, how did this kid upload him hurting animals on YouTube for years and no one found it, and the FBI is watching us every single thing we do? You know what I mean? The YouTube, it's so like, it makes me think.
They can't keep up.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, the CIA, Oliver North, he gave guns to the Middle East, which would later become. It's like, yeah, but notice how we know that happened. It seems like every time the government has done something, like John F. Kennedy's Bay of Pigs, the government seems actually very inept, and whenever they try to do something secret and evil, it actually blows up in their face, and it's revealed that like Ronald Reagan, to get hostages back into America, did trade guns with evil people, you know? So it's like it always comes forward. So it's like, it's almost like, I personally think anytime we're like, I don't think Jeffrey Epstein killed himself.
No.
I don't think that. But everyone's like, Trump and the Clintons, I think the government was behind it. I honestly think there was just some rich billionaire who is so rich the government doesn't even affect him. Literally went, hey, you two guys, here's billions of dollars, turn off that camera. Hey, random hitman, here's $1 million. Go kill him. That makes, instead of the government being like, squirm, instead of like.
So that's kind of familiar to like the deep state.
Kind of, but I don't think
you're not that far into it though.
Well, there's a QAnon thing where they're like, the Jewish population control everything, and the deep state controls everything, and the CIA killed Kennedy. Someone killed Kennedy. I think it was the mafia, because he had a lot of ties with the mafia, and then the guy who assassinated him got shot 2 times to be killed as well a week later. Yep. That is a classic mafia move, right? I think in actuality, everyone's like, the government's doing all of it. I think there's just really rich organizations out there. I'm not too much into the deep state. I think I don't think there's like a evil ring of rich actors. I think to these people who are out there that are actually like the billionaire, quintrillionaires, actors are nothing to them either. Actors are just trying to keep their head above water to stay famous so they can pay for stuff. I think there's just like some rich billionaire who is like, I don't even want people to know my name. Kill Jeffrey Epstein. So then, like, when that name shows up on a book, no one's going to talk about that. But when some famous actor's name shows up on the book, us, the American people, are like, oh my gosh, Tom Hanks was there? But, like, this person's name who's blah, 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 whose name is actually, that last name has shown up on thousands of other things throughout history because their relatives were rich. No one's going to look at that because that doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? And that's what I think is, like, 9/11, I genuinely think if you do think like someone blew stuff up from the inside, it wasn't the government. It was just other extremists actually just got in there, because it's very easy to just, oh, we're workers. Convert 4 white dudes to believe in your extremist belief, send them to New York to pretend to be workers. They walk in with the explosives. They do it. You know what I mean? So I think it was not the government who did it.
I guess I haven't thought of that. Well, okay, so with 9/11, there's a couple things. We did a whole episode on this, and we weren't really able to find a lot because our theory is that Google has probably hidden whatever fucking shit that you could find on that.
Fair enough.
But so the heat that was generated from the plane crashing would not have been, with how the tower was designed with steel and everything, it wouldn't have been enough.
Jet fuel can't melt steel beams, is what you're saying?
It can't. Yeah.
It can't.
Yeah.
But explosive can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's kind of that, and like just how. Molly, do you mind looking up a video?
No. I don't like that whole theory. Like, I've looked into it and stuff, and like people have made a meme of it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. I do think like that is a completely reasonable thing, but it still could also be explained by my theory of the dude just walked in with explosives. Like, I don't disagree with you. Like, if you think people exploded, like, my weirdest conspiracy theory is the government is not all-knowing and all-powerful like we have been made to believe. They want us to think they are, and it goes back to during our battle with the USSR, the American government was actually kind of like, damn, they're doing it right with their people, but our people too free. Like, how do we do it? And they're like, oh, just like through a bunch of other means, word of mouth, we make them think we're all-powerful. But in actuality, they aren't. I think we're actually too small government. And then that's a great running point for Republicans to be like, we're all for small government. Everything controls us, right? We want to be against it, so it helps them. But then it also helps like Democrats and the FBI be like, hey, we can do so much using our government power because we have so much power. We can help you. But in actuality, I think it's not as powerful as we think it is. That's my weird conspiracy. So like, I think Bush was an idiot, couldn't pre-plan it, but when it did happen, he was like, yeah, I'm going to get us through this, and it got him reelected. So
I would say I would fundamentally disagree with you.
What do you mean?
On the terms of like, I think that there is like a deep state, and there is a group of people who we are either aware of or not aware of that are causing certain things to happen. Well, to regain power.
Well, I mean, yes, that you're 100% right, but like that's just like JFK invading Vietnam. Like, that kind of stuff is happening all the time. That was George Bush being like, we think there's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. We're going into Iraq. That was people trying to keep their power by invading and with oil. The reason we went to Iraq was to get oil. It wasn't because we thought. But the thing is, my point was, they're doing what you said is 100% true. Except we knew it happened. I think the government is so dumb that they can't secretly do stuff. I think everything they do to stay in power is shown to us, but just as people with such short attention spans, we don't get mad enough as it is. Even Trump agrees. Us invading Iraq was so messed up, but we knew it happened. It was told to us, but it's going to happen anyways. And that's exactly where it happens. That's people we know of doing anything they can to stay in power. Because the best way to get reelected is be in the middle of a war. And that's what Bush did. And I think it's there's the old saying of don't waste a good tragedy. Right? And I think that was the Democrats using coronavirus to definitely be like, look how inept Trump is, or like someone new, we can handle it better. I don't think coronavirus was created by anyone to take control. I do think it was possibly made in a lab and got out, but I don't think it was like purposely done or anything. And again, I think it's just politicians blatantly using something that they didn't control, but now they're like, now we can get control of it to not waste a good tragedy.
Yes. You and I are on the same page on that for sure.
Yes.
I'm a big believer with coronavirus that it is real, it is hurting people, but I do think the numbers are exaggerated. I think there is something to be said for there's power that's being taken and controlled. When the government's mandating people and requiring them to stay in their homes, requiring them to do certain things. I mean, what happens when you're required to have a vaccine to do things? You know, I really worry about the steps that are being taken with all this and how blind people are to it, seemingly.
More or less, I do agree to that because, again, I'm more moderate. I don't like the forcing of things. But then I also look at it as, like, America compared to other... Like, I've traveled the world, and other countries look at us like... how do you look at Florida? Pigsty, right? You look at Florida, you're like, that's the South's trash can, right? we are the world's trash can in their views. Japan is so clean. Like, they wear masks, they don't shake hands, they don't touch, and that's why they never had to do a full shutdown, right? And I think that's where it gets annoying, in my opinion, of like, I don't agree with anyone being like, you have to stay home, like California, what they're doing. But if we would have just been like, Americans, we never wash our hands, we don't do a lot of cleanliness. We're seen as a very gross country to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
But we look at other countries, like India's also seen that way by a lot of other countries. I think that go on record, like they're seen as worse than us. But if we would have just worn masks, not because we thought it protected us, but because we knew it could protect others. You know, that's why in Japan, someone's not wearing a mask because they're like, I don't want to get sick. They'll wear a mask if they have the flu because they're like, I don't want to give someone the flu.
See, I heard something different. I heard that the real reason they do masks is to prevent touching the face.
There's in China, they're going to wear a mask because of the smog situation, right?
Yeah.
So they need to breathe better, not touching face, but they also do it. It's just Asian tradition. White guy here. White guy explaining to you
You're fine, dude.
Asian traditions.
Political correctness is not.
It's just from what I saw, they are much more like caring about their surroundings. It's about respect, right? And it's respect. You gain respect by respecting others. Is kind of a belief there. So they'll wear a mask to not like just before coronavirus even. When I went to China, they were wearing masks all the time. And it was because either it was a high area with smog, or it was because they were sick and they didn't want to give it to anyone else. So, and I mean, like I said, I went to these other countries. I don't think they're like the epitome of cleansing it. You don't walk there and you're like, oh my God, everyone's hovering off the ground. They're not even touching anything. It's more or less. Like, I don't think, I personally don't think, coronavirus is just something out of everyone's control, in my opinion, and I don't think there is a right way to handle it. It is where I get to. It's like, I personally am like, I like masks, especially in the cold. I was walking here, dude. Yeah. I hate masks and I like masks. I'm walking here, I'm like, wow, I'm really glad I have a mask. It's cold as hell outside right now. -3 degrees, my face is warm. But then I'm like trying to talk to someone, and my glasses are fogging up, and I'm like, I hate masks. So I'm not here to lecture anyone. If you're watching that and you're like, no, Jake, screw you. That's fine. It's something where I don't know what the right answer is, and I think the biggest problem is no one knows the right answer, and that's why you have people who are like lifting bans too early. You have people forcing bans, which is incorrect. I think you just have so much not knowing, not same page that it's gotten into a mess, and that probably more people have died than needed to. But that's the human condition not to know how to handle a situation. We're all still learning, and that's what brings me back to is I think the government is actually a bunch of dummies who don't know how to handle things. Know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's like the scary part with it, right? Is like they're doing these things without it seemingly not really a lot of thought. There isn't really a whole lot of scientific evidence but behind a lot of the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah, which you would think we would have kind of learned a little bit since
last year?
Yeah. I guess I was jumping back to what was it in 1918 or 1914? I think 1918 maybe. Spanish flu. Spanish flu, which was first of all, I don't even think Spain gave it to us. What the reason it's called the Spanish flu was because all the other countries. I'm not sure you probably already know this. This is probably
I actually don't.
Stupid fun fact. We were all at war with each other, right? So we didn't really have time to be like, oh, you have this new type of flu, blah, blah, blah. But Spain, who wasn't at war, had time to look into it. Also, if we did know about it, would you really want to be the country to be like, hey, we found a new flu and all of our people are infected while you're fighting with another country? No, it's going to make you look weak and stupid. Yeah. You know what I mean? So Spain, who doesn't care, is like, hey, we've discovered something new. So then all these other countries, like right at the end of World War I, are like, oh, it's a Spanish flu. The Spaniards gave it to us. So, and that's kind of where I feel bad for China in a way, and I disagreed with like calling it Kung Flu and everything. As
funny as that was.
Yeah, I was like, geez, Louise. I personally disagree with like trying to be like, here's where it originated, because there's no real way to know. I was in like the last year in January, I had to take 3 days off work because I was so sick, and it was a flu like I had never had before.
Yeah,
and it was all the symptoms of COVID.
No, really.
I had back pains, which now I'm like, oh, they're saying back pains are a symptom, but it's because your lungs hurt so bad.
Oh, interesting.
So I was having back pains, coughing nonstop. I was coughing so hard that like I thought I was gonna like vomit. It was awful, and I was never had been that sick in my entire life, and it like fit all the things of COVID. But it was before COVID was even like here, and so many people say that. Like, I think I had COVID before, and that's why I'm always like trying to be like, this is where it came from.
Yeah,
it's such a hard thing. But now that we did our little rant there, I feel bad. I don't want anyone to think I'm like judging them. I stay safe. I hope no one else has. I feels bad. It's just when innocent people are dying, you always feel like you have to like say something. But you don't know. I don't know. I don't know any more than anyone else, man.
You know what? All I will say is if they start, making people wear 2 masks, I'm becoming an anti-masker. I'm not fucking doing it, man.
Dang, I don't even care anymore, man.
No, not really. But I'm not doing 2 masks though.
But
I refuse.
One mask is bad enough. I feel like a second mask doesn't even mean anything anymore.
But you don't think that would like affect your breathing at all?
One mask already messes up my glasses.
Let's try it out right now. I got 2 masks right here.
Cause
you got another mask?
here, use mine. Share Matt. No. That'd be an awful idea. Cause look, your mask is already messing you up, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But wait, couldn't it offer a way to put your glasses onto something else so now it isn't fogging your glasses up?
Okay, so what you have to do is you have to like put it under. Oh, Jesus, put it under the bridge. All right, and this one is designed. See, Mom and Dad, I am being safe.
Okay, but when you wear 2 masks, you're supposed to wear one that's paper.
Oh. Are you fine with it, Molly? Like, you're like, 2 masks, who cares?
I work in a hospital, so I have to wear masks all the time.
Molly, why did you let me go? Molly, why were you not up here talking? I'm over here, I'm like, so here's my opinion. We are like a trash can compared to other... I don't know if that's true. Why did I say that? I don't know. Molly, you could have stopped me from looking like a dummy. Oh, my goodness. All I know is history. I don't know anything else, all right? I base everything I know off of just my history knowledge, which is dangerous because history does not affect everything. Who goes into a math test and they're like, well, actually, in 1932. Oh, God, it's so dumb. All right, let's change the subject. Move it on. I'm drowning.
Well,
We're dying again.
So let's go to history because I'm curious about you seem to know a lot and
Thank
you
you.
obviously have a fascination about it.
Yeah.
What did you like it like when you were younger? Like what's kind of your
So
background?
I've always been bad at school. I had dyslexia and ADHD
okay.
and was
Yep.
never good at school. I was only ever good in history, and my history teacher's name was Mr. Haydenfeld. Just really like made me fall in love with the subject, and like I could always do really well in it compared to all the other classes that I was like C student in. That was the one class I could always get A, and then I took my AP exam on it. Only class I got a 4 in for the AP exam, so the only one that even went to college credit. So it was a very in a world where I always felt like I wasn't enough. This was the one thing that always gave me validation. That made me excited. I remember that was my first class of the day, my first period class of the day. Everyone's sleeping through it. I loved it because it was so validating to learn, and I felt like I was like in geometry I'm like I'm never going to use this. In science I'm like I'm never going to need to know this chemistry thing. But in history it's the one thing that could also always be used to randomly seem more intelligent, right? I started to flop on the COVID thing, so I was like, oh my God, I'm underqualified. What do I go to? Thing I know most. I was like, Spanish flu, right? Let's talk about that. And origins, so it has honestly become a safety net for me as well. If I don't know what I'm talking about, it's that one thing. Because what am I going to be like, well, COVID, blah, blah, blah. Did you know the square root of 472 could actually be seen? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's something that can almost always be used in conversation. And it, again, it all started back to, like, it was this cool validation of, like, I felt like I was the dumbest kid in the world. I had something that could actually make me feel like I was worth it, and I could actually be successful enough in school, So that's kind of where that all stemmed from, and now it's the one thing I've stuck with. So, yeah,
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, I've never really gotten into history. My dad was a huge history buff.
Nice.
But I've always appreciated it. I mean, you could argue for a lot of the stuff going on right now politically. People should know a little more history, maybe.
Yes.
Forming some opinions.
There are, oh my God, dude. People will just say the dumbest stuff, and I'll be like, well, actually, no. Like, I don't even know where to start. It's so frustrating. But the thing that's more frustrating is knowing history, and then someone says some stuff, and you're like, no, not actually.
Yeah, and like they're the kind of person they think they're right and you can't shut them up.
Oh yeah, because then they're like, that's the most annoying is like if you correct someone on the left or right with like a historical thing, they're like, Trump is the worst president ever, and you're like, well, actually, Andrew Johnson and James Buchanan, along with even considerably possibly Woodrow Wilson or Franklin Pierce, you start throwing out these names that they probably don't know, and they're like, oh, you're just a Republican. Or on the other side, they'll be like, Donald Trump has done more for the African-American community than any other president. And you're like, well, actually, Ulysses S. Grant eradicated the first wave of the KKK, and if they would have followed his ideologies, the KKK would have never even been able to come back. He was one of the most forward-thinking Republicans. He was considered a radical Republican because he and Garfield and others believed in uncompromising freedom of every single individual. And they considered African-Americans and anyone just as much as him, right? So it's like, for his time, he did more. Right, and they're like, and then they'll be like, "You're just a Democrat." And I'm like, Jesus, no, man. I'm just telling you that historically your thing is inaccurate, right? Right. It's there. It's not even opinion based, right? Like, there are worse presidents than Trump.
Yeah.
There are better presidents than Trump, and then there's presidents who have done more for different communities than other presidents, right? It's not like it's so annoying that if you present, it's become to the point now where if you present someone a fact, they go, well, that's just your opinion. Instead, we live in such an opinionated world where even facts have become opinions, and that's what is so annoying, to be someone who does know some facts.
I can't hang out with people like that. Who are just like you said, like they're just like, no, that's your opinion. Like, no, that's not an opinion. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Like, if someone loves JFK, and I was like, I'll be like, well, I don't know what, like, because he had the highest approval rating in his first 100 days than any other president, right? I'm like, that's so crazy because on his 87th day in, he did the Bay of Pigs, which turned out to be a disaster. And they'll be like, nope, JFK's still the best. That's just your opinion. I was like, no, Bay of Pigs happened. It was a thing that happened 87 days. So it's frustrating to just kind of like, I don't know. It's not an opinion when it's a fact, but
yeah. Well, and that's the thing that's so hard in this day and age with the internet and media is like even the fact checking sites are wrong. I've heard things on podcasts where like those people are getting paid by certain people to say something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very
there's no standard of accurate information.
What you have to do is but then you'll have people who will be like, that will be like so extremist in a belief. They'll be like, send me an article that's not peer reviewed because those peers are clear. But it's like, no, you should not be. First of all, don't read non-peer reviewed articles. But like, I understand where they're coming from, right? They're like, well, if it's peer reviewed, they're clearly just of the same mindset. But it goes both ways. If you're just reading an article that, in my job, I write 2 articles a day, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I write stuff. It's dumb stuff. It's like WandaVision, things you may have missed, stupid, non-meaningful stuff, right? But
you're the enemy.
Yeah. But like,
you're the asshole writing all this
exactly. It's awful, man. But like, I could write something in that article. No one's peer reviewing me. I could post it. I could be like, in WandaVision, Batman actually showed up. He crossed over from the DC universe. Yeah. I could just write that. No one's peer reviewing me. So it goes that way for like history, right? Someone could just write something crazy. So when they're like, I don't want to see a peer reviewed thing, it's like, well, you should see something that's not just randomly posted, but I understand where they're coming from. So that's where it gets into, you should be willing to, if you're going to be confident enough to comment on something and have an opinion on something, your research should not be conspiracy searched, where instead of being like JFK assassination, you go JFK assassinated by the CSI or CIA, right? Because then you're telling it what you want to see, right? So people will do conspiracy hunting where to back up their own conspiracy, they'll type what they already believe. So all the articles that show up is just stuff that validates it. So what I believe people should do is whatever you're looking into, JFK assassination, you just type in JFK assassination. You don't click on the first article, just read that and go, there we go. You have to read articles that aren't peer reviewed, articles that are peer reviewed, articles. If you're going to be commentating on something, giving an opinion to people who are willing to listen, research it a lot. Do enough research on it. Don't be like, here's what I believe off of this one article,
Yeah,
so it goes both ways.
You just read the headline.
That is, a large majority of people just read headlines.
I'm guilty of that too. I guess that's what I'm saying is like that's the problem. Like it creates like echo chambers. We just talked about Parler.
Twitter's become an echo chamber. Easy. Yeah, everything is an echo chamber. Everything gets canceled. It's.
You ever watch Joe? You watch Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Did you see the one with Tim Pool and the Twitter execs?
No, but I know what you're talking. I saw clips of it because I thought it was pretty cool.
Go back and watch that. That is some crazy shit. Every time they make a good point and they're like, "You guys are fucked up." Those like, we'll take that into consideration.
Yeah, they do that. Every executive does that.
They are the worst. I technically have a Twitter account for this thing, but I do not I don't post.
Yeah.
I don't use it.
And that's what it comes to though. That's so funny is the result of Twitter is kind of unchecked capitalism. I believe in capitalism. I'm a, it gonna sound really stupid, socialist capitalist, which is the dumbest thing ever. Let me explain that real quick. And then we're ending with a question because I don't want to end on that. Well, do you know who Andrew Yang is?
Yes.
I consider him borderline socialist capitalist, where he's like, well, here's what the government can do for you. UBI, that is a overbearing government belief that has socialist roots, but it's also based in capitalism. He's going, I want to give you this money to support small businesses and support your fellow Americans, which is rooted in capitalism. The belief of capitalism is that anybody can like make it. You can make your own money.
Yeah.
And that's what's so frustrating of him always getting like shot down, because I believe his UBI plan would be like, it's the new welfare that anyone can get, right? So it doesn't matter if you're the poorest of the poor, the richest of the rich, but you still fill out forms, you fill it out like it's that. So like it'd still be like you're on welfare now, right? But like if you make $30,000 a year, that extra $12,000 is a huge difference. If your car breaks down, now you're not like, oh, I'm in debt. But now you can also go out to that restaurant that you've always wanted, that new local restaurant that's a little bit more expensive than the fast food place. Now you can go out and pay for it. And it's so great. But then people's argument would be like, well, what stops the billionaires from applying for it? It's like, well, right now if someone said, fill out this multi-form thing for $12 to you right now, a year, would you fill it out?
No.
Exactly. So why would a billionaire be like, $1,000 extra a month? Yes, sir. So no. And then the other argument though is, well, when a poor person just live off that $12,000, it's like you should not care what that very poor person's doing. $12,000 a year in America is not the best life ever. It's not like with that $12,000 they're now not working and buying a Lamborghini. They're going to be scraping pennies their entire life. If they don't want to work and just keep that $12,000, that's not my business, because with my $12,000 and me working hard, now I can go buy a new car. You know what I mean? That's like studying very hard for a test and the kid next to you doesn't. You go to school the next day and the teacher goes, for this one test, I actually am going to put the answers up on the board. Are you going to be like, no, I studied, and you get to question 3 and you don't know the answer? Out of spite, are you really not going to look up just to double check your answer? So that's where it comes into be, where it's like, are you really so mad that some poor person who doesn't work, who's lazy, gets that $12,000, that you don't think you deserve a new car because you work hard? You know, like, you deserve that $12,000. You're a hardworking American. You deserve that extra $12,000 a month, and it helps support small business and everything, and it also supports, I think it'd bring back the, many Republicans support the 2-family household, right? And they're very mad that a lot of Democratic policies kind of support single-family households. This is a Democratic policy that would support 2-family households, because the more, if you're in a relationship, that's $2,000 a month instead of $1,000. So, I don't know. I kind of went on political rant.
No, you're fine. I don't know. I guess my thing with that is I don't really support the welfare state, and I'm not really a fan of socialism at all. I do think that in the capitalist society that we're in, we're at a point where it's like we have reaped the benefits of capitalism too much, to the point where it's gone to very, very few people. And we're seeing the bad side of capitalism right now.
Yes, because it's been unchecked, which is the problem. I don't support unchecked capitalism.
Yeah, no, me neither. But I guess I think when you make a move like that, because yes, the people who are on the lower end of the spectrum, they could use that money, and that I'm not saying that they shouldn't get it, but in a true free market, capitalistic society, having that pressure would force them to it's kind of like Darwin's survival of the fittest.
Yes,
in a sense.
But that $12,000, I feel like people are overestimating how much $12,000 is. To pay rent in a pretty solid apartment in many areas is $1,000 itself, right?
Yeah.
But imagine how much all those people living in tents right now. So the way this would be done was the welfare program is now changed to UBI, the legalization of marijuana. That right there is enough money to give every American $1,000 a month for the next 6 years, right? And the way it doesn't cause inflation is because it is the new welfare. Just everyone can apply for it. It's not just given. All these homeless people living in California, now they can afford really shit apartments, but now they're in apartments and now they're back on their feet. Because one of the hardest things to do is, how are you going to get a job if you're covered in scabs after being addicted to drugs for so long and you can't afford to get any help? This is a great way to push people again, be like, here's a little bit of money. And now you can actually start living again. So, because right now, poor people's biggest thing is, how do I live to the next day? So now if you're taking that fear away, you're now giving them, how can I be successful tomorrow? Instead of, how do I live tomorrow? So UBI is actually giving a push to the poorest of the poor. And again, I know your argument is valid. You're like, well, how does it give people an incentive? Again, $12,000 a year is probably helping with food and apartments, right? But now that these really poor people who, again, have just been living every day of like, how do I live tomorrow? How do I feed my kids? Now they're like, holy shit, my job at McDonald's that paid for the bare minimum, now that I get this extra $12,000 a year, I can now afford a car. Oh my God, I have a car now, so I don't have to walk to work to Burger King because that's the only place I can get to work. It opens up opportunities, and I do think that the benefits outweigh the cons. Yes, there will be people who feed off of it, but there's people who negatively feed off of capitalism. The only difference is the people who negatively feed off of capitalism are making billions of dollars while we suffer and get nothing. The people who would benefit off of that $12,000 UBI would be making literally only $12,000 while we also get $12,000. You know what I mean? So the pros outweigh the cons so much, in my opinion, and feel free to counter, obviously.
Well,
but
here's my thought to that. Why are these people, ultimately, why are these people in this situation? It's because their job doesn't pay them enough.
Yes.
Right. So why did these jobs not pay them enough? Because there's a minimum wage. Mm-hmm. My theory, and this is outlandish, and so many people have disagreed with me on this. In true free market society, if you take away minimum wage, these businesses can't pay people $2-3 an hour. They won't work for them. Mm-hmm. They that is forcing businesses' hand to divide their wealth further.
Yes, I don't disagree with that, but you are suggesting your suggestion though is in a checked market. We are in an unchecked market where the idea of minimum wage originally was to be like, you have to pay people this much. You can't underpay people. But now it's become a trap where it's like, this is as much as you get. What are you going to do? Buy a car and drive somewhere? No, walk into work. And that's why you see so many places in low-income areas is they're forced to work. And I don't think and I don't disagree with you on that at all, but I think UBI, because we've already seen forms of it being giving out in stimulus checks, is just something that's more likely to happen because the richest of the rich would lose less money with UBI, right? Because it's getting taken off government programs. But in us being like, we need to recheck the free market, blah, 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 that starts losing them money. So I think, while I don't disagree with your point, I don't think the richest of the rich would even let that concept or idea reach the floor. Compared to UBI, where it's government has already been like, oh, here's a few checks, here's blah, blah, blah. That's just I just want to do the most likely thing that can help the most people and help myself at the same time. I want to be selfless while being selfish. And I think that's where a socialist capitalist society can come together with UBI.
I guess my whole thing is less government. I'm very libertarian.
Did you hear about that libertarian state that failed though?
No.
So a bunch of libertarians came together and started their own town.
Oh, really? I didn't know
the
that.
only problem was that I used to be a libertarian, actually. That's why I looked into it. these libertarians were very selfish though, and they're like, I watch for myself. So this one lady started leaving food out, and it brought bears, and the bears weren't scared of people. The town started having a bear problem, but there was no one to get paid to kill those bears, and nobody wanted to fight the bears. And then all of a sudden, this person got killed by a bear, and now this town's getting overrun by bears. The town isn't getting any electricity, isn't getting any water. Next thing they know, that town has become a third world country. And I think that's where the problem would come into with trying to do I don't disagree with libertarianism, and like Calvin Coolidge, very hands-off, small government guy, but one could argue that there's a time and place for small government, and there's a time and place. Because,
I'm not full-on anarchist or anything.
Yeah.
You know,
because like Calvin Coolidge, one could debate that his hand-off ideas that inspired Herbert Hoover could lead to the Great Depression. So I think there are times that the government should intervene, and that's why I support socialist capitalism. I don't think the government should always be there being like, hey, what's up, man? What you doing? You good? You good?
Yeah.
I just think from time to time, they come and knock on their door, and they're like, hey, man, I'm checking up on you. You doing all right? And you're like, yeah, I think my life's on track. They're like, cool. It's not them coming to your door every day, and they're like, hey, what you doing, man? You spending money? You spending my money? What are you doing? You know what I mean? So I think there should be a check and balance, because I think America has the opportunity. I think America's great right now, but I do think America has the opportunity to be the greatest, and to be the greatest, there has to be this great balance of it's yin and yang, man. It's the government helping us, but also letting us have our freedom, right? Because everyone needs help, right? You don't just wake up one day and you're like, I'm good all on my own. Everyone needs help, right? Starting a YouTube channel, you need word of mouth. That's like people helping you, right? So it's something where I just believe that the government should help a little bit, but also give us our space and create this perfect yin and yang, and that's why I support Andrew Yang.
No, and you know, I actually do like Andrew Yang. I would vote for him, definitely. I think he's a smart individual. He has the good. This is gonna sound terrible, but he has the good qualities of Trump. Like, he's a businessman. He's independent. You know, well,
I just don't think Trump. I don't think Trump cared as much about people as he portrayed himself.
No, definitely not. And that's where he is definitely a whole lot better than him in that.
That's what I like about Yang. Is Yang seems like he genuinely cared. Like, I went and on my Instagram, I got pictures of him with him because I got to meet with him, and he was so genuine when I met him, and I read his book, and he just seems like such a great. It made me really be like, I'm gonna go for up to bat for this guy. I've never supported a politician ever. I've never said who I voted for ever. Only candidate I've ever been like, is there's two people, Ulysses S. Grant and Andrew Yang.
So let me ask you this: do you think they'll ever let him? Do you think they'll ever let him be president?
If he wins mayor of New York City, I think that's gonna open the doors for him.
Damn.
But he has to win mayor of New York City first. He needs to prove himself electable, and then the DNC will give him a chance. He didn't have enough experience, and the DNC is corrupt as hell, so they weren't even going to let him have a chance. They tried to shut him down, but the internet actually helped him become what he is. And I think if he wins the mayor of New York City and proves himself electable and proves himself to be, because Bernie Sanders is considered too far left. I think Andrew Yang, because already he's being considered the bipartisan candidate, which is crazy because he has very left-leaning views. UBI, left-leaning, but since Donald Trump, under Trump's presidency, we got 2 checks from the government. So many people are becoming open to UBI. I'm very excited for the future of him if he can win New York City.
I want to vote bathroom break here really quick, but I do want to ask you one question before that. Talking about all this, all these problems, how do you what do you think are the steps for us to get out of it, in your opinion? Like, how do you think we can solve this mess with the government, and we're talking about inequality and income and all that? What are your theories?
Anarchy. We burn everything to the ground. No, that was a joke. Oh my God.
You wouldn't be the first person that's come in and said that.
You just cut it there. End it there. There's no editing. It is just, I'll talk about it after the bathroom break, but that'd be so funny if you just, anarchy. Done. Thank you for coming, Jake Truemper. We can talk about it after the bathroom break.
Oh, okay.
On a little rant.
All right, cool. We'll be right back then. All right, we are back. Real quick, so we were talking about your solution.
Yes.
Your solution and everything. Jake Truemper has the answer, the meaning to life. No.
Can I tell you something like low key?
Sure. Go.
I kind of want to be president someday. Yep. Damn. Vote Jake Truemper for president. I gotta wait till the that name starts being.
Dude, it never will. You're fucked. You're fucked, man.
Yeah, no, my whole thing was gonna be like, I didn't go to college, and because my first job was working in a factory, so I was like connect with the common man kind of thing. But,
that's a good move.
Yeah. But if right now, I'm not educated enough on it to be like, here is the exact solution. But
Nobody.
The key is listening to what the people are saying, observing what the people are doing, and then drawing your correlation and result. And mine would be, you said a lot of people go and just say anarchy. It's the only way. Burn it down. Why do people feel so trapped that they have to burn it all down? You know?
Yeah, because they feel disenfranchised.
Yes. Unlistened to, distraught, put down. There's no chance for them. They're not going to make it. They're just going to live it day to day, right?
Yep.
There's nothing there for them. But then you also see, like with Wall Street, all those people came together, and by the end of it, it wasn't about the money. It was about sending a message to hedge funds. Yeah. And you saw a bunch of people come together. So we're hearing people say that they feel like they can't do anything. And we're seeing people do something when they're given the chance to do it. You know what I mean? So I think try to make a claim of being like, well, Americans and people these days are just lazy, is wrong. And I think what we really need to do is, the reason I support UBI is, I know some people's argument will be it doesn't give someone an incentive. Once you start giving someone free money, they're not going to want to do anything, right? But my thing is COVID's destroyed small business. COVID has opened the gates that we have to close, has opened the gates to online shopping, multi-billion-dollar companies that are only on the internet. No one wants to go anywhere. No one wants to do anything. We're going to see places like, I drove past Adventureland coming up here. That's an awesome theme park. I would hate to see it get closed. But it's not like it offers the most, right? Like, it's like, I'm not going to be like, yeah, Adventureland, I could go there every day. I'm going to go there once over the summer. But, because it's also kind of expensive. But if we start giving people that $1,000 a month, that incentive, I make enough money. I'm doing fine. My dream is to open up a mini golf course someday. I'm not going to open up a mini golf course while no one has any money to spend there. So I'm going to lose my investment. But with that extra $12,000, I can invest in opening up a mini golf course. People can invest little bits throw pennies and dollars at me to go in there because they've got that extra money. I think and people are losing their small businesses because of lack of money. I think the only way is for the government to intervene now and start giving out UBI to help small businesses. The mom and pop shop, it's tragic. You hear about it, it's like a few $1,000s would have saved them if they could have just kept their head above water, but they couldn't pay off the bills they owed. But those bills aren't $1 million. Like, I feel like so many people like they went under because they were like tens of thousands of dollars in debt. It's like, no, it's those little stuff that gets them, that tricks you up. So that $1,000 a month could genuinely help people. And then once they start saving up, other people can open up their businesses. We start seeing new ideas flourish because like people want to do stuff. They can start going to amusement parks with their family. And I genuinely think that the way we get it back on track is putting money, not a large ass amount. I think it's the legalization of marijuana. The look at all the reckless spending the government does. All of the just useless money we throw into stuff, and
military,
I think
all that.
I genuinely think we need to send it's like sending an accountant to go to someone who's awful at spending money, right?
Yeah,
we need to do something with that. We need to identify that like money's just getting thrown to the wind with some stuff, and not even the military. Like you just look into stuff that's just like, what? We're putting money into this, and I think there's just so much we need to look into. Find a way to pay the American people that does not increase the debt, but and also does not make people lazy. I'm not being like, everyone deserves free money, man. I'm thinking we get rid of the concept of welfare, where welfare is basically, welfare in my opinion, is being like, here, a literal handout. It's not saying, here's how you can do better, because it's giving people the bare minimum, but it's like keeping their head above water. So it's just like, it's helping them live day to day, but it's not helping them want to grow day to day.
Yeah, I guess that's my argument. So I guess the difference between you and me is just the amount. You just think it should, like you agree, like you just say you don't agree with welfare state, but you agree with helping people out, but it has to be a substantial amount.
Well, in the sense of welfare, only a certain percentage of Americans can have it. It's very weird the way it works. There's food stamps, but so many people who are against like food stamps and against that are people who grew up on it, but they've convinced themselves, oh, my family deserved it because they worked hard. Those other people who don't have it, they don't work hard. And that they were told by the government that. They were tricked by a government that you were on it, but that's okay because you're not lazy. Your neighbor, they're lazy. Screw you. What right do you have to be like, my family wasn't lazy, but yours was? That's where I'm at. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, not screw you. Screw the hypothetical person I made up. So that's where I'm like, the idea of welfare, while I don't agree with it completely, it's not wrong. I think welfare should be, I don't think you should just start giving people $1,000 because that's going to increase inflation. People are like, you got $1,000 now? Everything's just more expensive now. Duh. That's why you have to make it as welfare, where it's like you file for it, so then the government can't be like, oh, everyone has $1,000. No, because it's still welfare that everyone can apply for, but not everyone's going to have. You know what I mean? So, like, the government couldn't be like, we're going to increase it. Not the government, the big corporations are going to be like, we're going to increase everything, because there's no way to prove that. Like, the minimum wage didn't get raised. It's just welfare is now different, and people can apply for it now. So you've got more people on welfare, and obviously that shows up. Like, if I apply for that welfare, it says I'm on welfare now. Even if someone's making $40,000 a year, they don't need to be on welfare, right? If they're just a couple, no kids, no nothing, one makes $40,000, one makes $30,000, they're doing fine. But they both can apply for that welfare now, and it's just on their record. It's like, you're on welfare, but like that doesn't mean you can't open a business, you can't do this, but it does show up. Like if you're trying to get a loan, it shows up, and then that's where it comes into like explaining credit score, all of that. But I just feel like there's so many people who have just been, they can't even take a step up because they've been buried so much. Yeah. So you need to give them that money to dig themselves out in the first place. And that's why there's so much homelessness. Once you get to the point of you're homeless, you can't get out. You feel so trapped. You're screwed. You get into drugs. Now you're even more trapped. It's so hard. And you hear the people, and they're like, this is my comeback story of how I'm not homeless. They're living in a one-bedroom apartment, closed up, peeing in the corner. They're like, my life's great now. It's like, yes, you did it, but you're going to be there the rest of your life. It's so hard. And they're going to tell you about the 1 in a million story of that homeless guy who's now a millionaire. It's like, yeah, that one guy out of millions of other people. You know what I mean? That's what they're always going to tell you, right? They're going to tell you the one guy. Same with COVID. They're going to tell you about the one person who died, but not the millions who got over it. You know, and that's the problem with the media. So they're going to tell you, oh, homeless people can make it. No, the government's, it's rigged against them now. You're so far down. It's rigged against you and me. If we're not multimillionaires, it's very hard. Like, doesn't it feel like YouTube sometimes it's rigged against you? Like, you're like, I put out great content, why is it not getting shown? And that's how it feels for so many people. Yeah. And that's how it feels for so many people in America just in general. That's why they're like, burn it all down. And then when you give them the chance to fight the bigwigs, they're like, yeah, let's do it. They want to. And that's why I believe in UBI. And I think $1,000 is that perfect number. That's not too little, because if you're just like, hey, here's $500, they're like, cool, that pays some of my rent compared to the 1,000, where they're like, oh, cool, I can put 500 into this and save 500, or even if they can just save 100. What is it? It's just like 60% of Americans couldn't even cover a $500 surprise fee right now. That's insane. That's so dangerous. And those people who can't do that, they've convinced themselves, they're like, oh, I'm doing fine. At least I'm not that guy. It's like, you're doing fine, but it's like Monopoly. What happens when all of a sudden something breaks down, bro? What happens when you draw that bad card? You're wrecked. You're in debt and credit. Now your credit score is bad. Oh, congrats. You can't get that house in 3 years. But we convince ourselves we're doing fine. I'm doing just fine enough, and I want to keep telling myself I'm doing fine. So that homeless guy does not deserve $1,000. It's like, you'd be doing better. You getting that extra money is making you do better too. And that's why I support UBI, and I think that's a great starting point. UBI will help reinvigorate small towns, small businesses, small everything. Because small towns, everything's moving out of there. Small towns are just becoming empty, right?
Really? I think the opposite with COVID. Everybody's kind of leaving the city. I mean, maybe not
here.
here.
No, sorry. People aren't leaving small towns, but businesses can't survive in small towns. That one video rental place, that local video rental place. Oh, they were already on a downtrack for years, and now they're wrecked. That ice cream place, that local ice cream place, wrecked. Right? That's what I meant. Sorry. Yeah. Not people leaving. People are trying to leave the big city, but it's like places that years ago, before all the internet selling, that could survive in a small area and get. Like as a kid. I'm so like when I was a kid living in Solon, thank God there was a movie and ice cream place I could go to. But nowadays kids are like, well, I guess I'll just get it off the internet and wait 3 days. And all these poor businesses are closing people's livelihood. And then you're just going to have more and more Americans be like, shit, what do I do? So this $1,000 is reinvigorating so much for small business, for individuals. And I think like, yes, there'll be a few people who abuse it. But again, I think we're looking at the wrong thing there. We're looking at that one person in a million's going to abuse it, and what they're going to live like, it's not like they're living in a mansion because they're abusing it though. That's the thing is, why should you not be able to buy a new car like you deserve for working hard, just because that homeless person now, instead of living in a box because they're lazy and they're living in a box, is now living in a studio apartment? You know what I mean? Just because some one person's abusing it doesn't mean you should suffer as well. And I think it would help more people, and they would use it for better reasons, because again, they don't have to focus on how do I live. They're like, hey, how can I succeed? I want a new car now. I'm inspired. You know? Maybe not.
No. That's an interesting thought. Really, that's like a very central middle ground point of view.
Thank you. Yes. Central.
No. I think ultimately, like, we just need to give it like 20 years. We need to just get some fresh faces in government. We need people who like actually understand what's going on. We don't need Eric Weinstein has a really good analogy. It's like old people, like grandma and grandpa, like keeping the bicycle. Like imagining that there's a bicycle that you pass on generation to generation. Yeah. And there's a toddler who just wants the bicycle, and the grandpa's just riding on the bicycle and just won't give it up.
Yeah,
like that's where we're living.
And it skipped generation. Like it hasn't gone to. Yeah. I agree with that. I like that analogy.
Yeah, it's a good one. So we can hope for the best. I know it's getting time to wrap up, but kind of bringing everything full circle, I wanted to ask you about this. I've seen on YouTube you do, I don't know how to describe it, if it's stand-up or if it's kind of like a poetry. Like, do you have any experience, like, obviously not doing it now during COVID?
Yeah.
But, like, have you ever done, like, stand-up or performance like that?
Yeah. Mostly in Cedar Rapids, at places like the Shores Event Center and stuff like that. Back in high school, I did a lot of, like, poetry comedy. I'm not a poet. I have to go off of the comedy aspect of it. So they'll be like, oh, there's a poetry contest. I was like, I want to be part of that because I want to be on stage, but I can't make something meaningful. So I'm like, I'll make it funny. I'll try to put a funny twist on it, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's where it is if you want to perform on stage, do it. But find your niche and get ready to also get crushed a few times. Like there's going to be, have you done any stuff on stage?
So I do rap. I've done that one time. I do kind of want to perform maybe this summer, but it kind of just depends on what's going on. And, you know, I have a lot of anxiety about A, performing, and B, just, I don't really know if that's something I really like to focus on, the music. I kind of really like doing this a lot more. Yeah. So we'll see. But basically, like, I was in band and stuff in high school, so I've had a little bit of experience. Actually, the Rose Bowl, I marched in the Rose Bowl one time in California. For the marching band. Yeah, you want to hear something awful though? Yeah. I left my mouthpiece. I played the tuba and left my mouthpiece in the case. So for the entire 5.5 miles, and so I went to MLC Floyd Valley in Northwest Iowa, and they're the Dutch. So they have these wooden shoes they have to march in. You had to wear like 3 pairs of socks just to survive in these wooden shoes, like inside out wooden shoes. I had to march 5.5 miles in those things in California, and I didn't get to play a single note. I just held the tuba the whole time. It was awful.
You suck! That sucks! Dude! How could you forget the mouthpiece? Oh my god!
I was so rushed in the moment.
You dummy! Oh my god! Goon! Oh!
That's why I do a podcast.
Jesus!
Comfortable environment.
Oh
Not
my
a whole lot
God!
going on.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Oh my God.
Maybe like borderline suicide.
Oh my God! I just said you suck. Like, that. Oh man. Did you feel bad? You felt real bad.
I did.
Oh. Still think about it? Still think about it from time to time?
Really,
no,
not like that. No, it was like being in band. It was just built up for the whole fucking year, and then the very end.
You choked.
Yeah,
you choked a little bit, and that happens though. People choke,
I think it's been a good experience. It's been a part of the person who I am. I think if you want to be successful, you have to fail really bad.
Yeah,
like you have to.
Yeah, you take L's, and some failures are bigger than others. It's the peaks and the valleys again, and exactly. I think some valleys hurt. Some valleys have like water that catch you. Other valleys are sharp rocks, and that shit hurts. And impales you, hurts the ego. Bad. Yeah. I can't even. There's so many. I'd say probably the ones that hurt the most are like I do a lot of like theater productions as well. I did one where it was like the one time I got to sing. Right. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna kill this shit. Right. I forgot my mic. It's a theater. A theater. Every single person. You could be a lead or you could be the smallest character. If you're on stage, you're mic'd so everyone can hear you.
Yeah.
I go out there, and I can't remember the thing, and I go, oh, fuck. Like, in my head, I'm just like, oh, shit. Everyone else is mic'd. The person before me, you hear them clear as day. So it's like, blah, 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 and then it's me. And everyone's like, is his mic okay? And oh my God! And there's a joke in theater, like every single mistake that happens gets written down for the thing. I was like, oh shit, that's getting put in the notes. And it was just the work, and it hurts so bad because there's people there, they're watching you, maybe families there. Embarrassing. It hurts, man. It hurts.
Yeah.
You got to take the L's with stride though, and make you a better person.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't forget your mouthpiece next time, man. All right. Jesus Christ.
I don't play any instruments anymore that require mouthpiece.
Was it about traumatizing?
Yeah,
you're like, I'm done. I'm never doing this again. Are you serious?
Well, no. I mean, I play a little bit guitar. That was always my main
Okay.
That was always my main thing.
Could be a little Dutch guy playing a guitar though. I wasn't gonna cut it.
I'm not Dutch. I'm Irish. I was an invader. I have no Dutch in me.
There's not a single. Well, the shoes.
The shoes. Yeah. The shoe is Dutch. I think it's a good place to wrap it up.
With the Dutch and the Irish.
With the Dutch and the Irish. Jake Truemper, it's been a hell of a time.
I feel like we got a little too deep into politics there, but hey, what are you gonna do? It's a podcast.
Yeah, and you are on the McAllister Hours podcast.
Yeah, you're gonna get like one of 6 things. I feel like it's either gonna get political. Yeah, it's gonna get like homicidal. I heard you talk about that one time. You think about killing people when you're on drugs. So you might get into drugs. You might get some. There's a lot that could happen. I'm glad we went down the route of me not getting killed though. So
yeah.
Glad we got political. Could have been way worse.
That's a good thought, I guess. All right. Next week we're gonna have BD80 on. He's a local musician. He just got a rehab, so I'm gonna.
That's so good for him.
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk to him about.
That's so exciting! Wow, I'm gonna watch that one. I don't watch the other one; they're all bad. But that one, I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch that one.
Jake Truemper. He has the Jink podcast. If y'all are on TikTok, find him on TikTok. You might have made me reconsider and start doing some TikTok
Get a TikTok.
Stuff. We'll see. Molly got so fucking excited seeing me do that. No, but here, let me rephrase that before we end here. It's not going to be on my phone. It's going to be on yours. I'll play the game, but I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Watch my stupid animal videos I like.
Too many of them.
All
right,
Thanks
buddy.
for having me, man.
Yeah. If I know you're all the way in Cedar Rapids, but if you ever need a guest or anything, or if you want to collaborate, I can have you on again. No.
Fine. Done. It's over.
It's Hamilton.
It's awful. Fix the thing, man.
Well, we're moving new studio in a couple episodes.
That'll be
so
awesome.
It won't
That'll
be
be awesome to see,
it.
man.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Peace.
Bye. Awesome.
Damn.